Hey guys, it's Micah from edeneyetarot. I'm here today to do a collective reading for the full moon in Aquarius. Happy full moon. We are going to be diving into a collective reading. So if you did want to see the video on like actually what the full moon like is looking like astrologically and the horoscopes for that full moon for the 12 signs and like me pulling cards for the 12 signs and talking about houses and everything like that, I actually put that video out last week. And so if you want to look at that, go ahead and check that out. And so, yeah, we will just be getting into a collective reading this week. So we have three major arcanas that came out, which is interesting. Not surprising, but interesting for sure, because we're getting a lot of the same themes. I think I named the full moon in Aquarius video isolation station, because I do believe with a lot of the horoscopes we got a lot of introspective kind of vibes going on, and with this collective reading it seems to be no different. Not surprising at all. Let me actually correct myself. We have 4 major arcanas and 3 minors, so we're going to go over those first. So the first one that we do have is the Hermit. So the Hermit is a card that is going to be all about introspection. It's going to be about taking time to yourself, really getting more in touch with yourself. You can do that through like meditation, journaling. It is Virgo's card, and so it can be a time where you just need to get grounded, pay attention to like the smaller details of things. Getting more mindful in your body, in your experience. How are things feeling physically in your body? How do things that are external, external vibrations, or how are things that you're eating, and how are you healing yourself? How is that affecting your body and your mental health as well? It can be another way that that can show up. But either way, it's a time where you kind of have to zone everybody else out to really be able to hear yourself. It could be a time where you feel like you're really being pulled in a lot of different directions. Of Virgo as a card, representing, or the Hermit representing Sun in Virgo, can be really speaking about Virgo as a mutable sign. Can sometimes have a hard time with boundaries. It is a mutable sign, so it does have that transitioning time. So yes, this is a time of change, but how are you doing with it being grounded in your body and making sure that you're protecting your boundaries as well? It might be a time where you really have to tell people no, where you might have to say, I can do this, but I cannot do this. Not spreading yourself too thin can come up too. Virgo can also be a sign that can represent health of pets, or really focusing in on like more holistic ways of healing yourself. That's why I brought up meditation, but also herbalism, really focusing in on more natural ways of taking care of yourself and your body. It could be a time to kind of reorganize your mental state, or your environment as well. Cleaning up your external helps to organize the internal, and vice versa. If you organize the internal, a lot of times the external will also kind of clear up as well. So keep that in mind. I think the Hermit card is really just saying that it's time to kind of quiet everything to be able to get a better foundation. I actually love that. I'm going to divert from the majors really quick. I love that we talk about rooting ourselves with that Virgo Hermit energy, because we do have the 4 of Pentacles that comes up as well. With that, unironically, it has roots in it. And the 4 of Pentacles is talking about letting things flow. But you have to remember that the 4 of Pentacles, traditionally, that card is of a man that has 4 coins over the main chakras. His head, his heart, and his feet. So it's about staying grounded. It's about staying protected, protecting your energy, being very mindful of your resources. It's not about restricting and holding on to resources super tight, whether that be money or your energy, but it's allowing things to flow and being very mindful of what are you spending your energy or your money on. and making sure that you are relating to those resources in a healthy way. And so we can see a need to kind of let things flow, not, getting super anal about things being perfect, but for sure making mindful, more commonsensical and practical choices is definitely where you want to go, especially since Mercury is in Virgo right now, where Mercury is exalted. I also talked about that a bit in the past video. We also have the High Priestess that comes up as well. The High Priestess is also, I think, also more of an introspective card. It is a card that's really talking about the moon. And the moon is change. And we talked about change a little bit already in this reading so far. And so there are definitely some changes coming up. But I think it's really talking about when you're plugging into yourself, what is happening? How is the external change maybe creating changes within you? Are you listening to your intuition? Are you listening to the more subtle lessons that are being taught, that are being spoken to you? Are you taking time to connect with spirit guides? Are you taking time to connect with yourself? Are you taking time to meditate? What do you believe? Are those things that you're actually walking the walk on? The High Priestess isn't super about action. It's more so about connecting with intuition and the divine. But it can be. It is more towards leaning towards the intuition. But it does say, okay, if you have intuitions about something, what are you going to do about it? And so it's not just like a, let's just sit and wait and see kind of card. It is, it is really emphasizing the idea of listening to your intuition, or tapping into that astral world, or really getting in touch with maybe the more spiritual realm can also come up as well. The moon can also be like a woman. The High Priestess can be a woman. It is, of course, the card of the moon, and so we can see like maybe a maternal figure or a wise older woman or a wise teacher that comes to kind of help facilitate change or be a catalyst for change. You can see like maybe like a Cancer. We do have the Chariot unironically coming up at this time as well. So maybe a Cancer is really helping to guide you. It can be really about nurturing yourself as well. The moon is about nurturing. As well as the moon can also be about groups of people too, which I think is very, very telling or very not coincidental, but like very on key for the full moon in Aquarius, since Aquarius is about communities and individuals. And so when we are looking at the moon, when it's being represented by both the High Priestess and to some extent the Chariot, it's about how are other people affecting you? How is their energy affecting you? What are other people? What is like the people that you're hanging around? What are their values? What are their goals? What are they aiming towards? What is their guiding light? Is that the same thing that you're going towards? Do you guys have the same kind of core values, or are you going towards the same thing? If not, maybe there needs to be some sort of change that happens in the relationship to kind of protect those boundaries for you. The High Priestess, as a card that does represent the moon, can be about nurturing, and I kind of want to lean into that a little bit as we're talking about the Chariot, because the Chariot is, of course, kind of tying back into the Hermit and the High Priestess a bit, because it talks about accepting all of yourself. It is a card that is all about moving forward because you've learned to really facilitate that acceptance, self-acceptance. So it's about self-awareness and self-acceptance. And if you think about it, Aquarius is a zodiac sign that's all about really about letting your freak flag fly, really about being unique and listening to that more authentic part of yourself and not being afraid to show that. even if others don't agree with it, even if the group doesn't agree with it. It understands at its best that yes, there is power in numbers, and working with others can be great for all. But at the same time, it's very important that you also concentrate on what is best for you. So the Chariot is also saying you can move forward with your goals, your dreams, your values, as long as you are making sure that whatever you are going towards, even if it is something that has to do with other people, is in line with your own values. It can also be talking about possibly having to dig into the past, maybe having to reconcile with some sort of, issue that has come up in the past, being maybe more reflective. Also look at where Cancer is in your chart individually. That can also be a big part of this piece of the puzzle as well, since this full moon is conjunct Saturn. We also have the Judgment card. So we're talking about the past coming up, right? And something needing to be reconciled, or something, coming back up so that we can create closure. Judgment is Pluto's card, and so it can be about like insurance from family, or family insurance, or maybe some sort of big change in the family, or some sort of reconciliation that needs to happen in the family, or some sort of, needing to deal with maybe some sort of power struggle that's happening with you and a group of people. It doesn't have to necessarily be family, but it is saying, what do you need to get rid of? What do you need to purge? What do you need to protect, so that you can better create that protection for yourself? Because Cancer and Pluto really lean into protecting your own security, protecting like that soft underbelly. At least that's what I think of when I think of those two and what they have in common. Especially, I think now, as I'm like even recording this, the moon is still in Capricorn, and the moon is actually opposite Pluto right now. And so it can be a lot about, deep healing, especially when it comes to emotionally healing yourself, and taking time just for yourself to really talk to people that can really hear you out, help you heal, or to help like facilitate some sort of like internal healing can help out as well. And then, of course, it can also be physical. The spiritual and emotional affects physical as well. We also have the Nine of Pentacles that comes up too. And so it can be like what you invest in, what you sacrifice for, pays off eventually. It might not always be sunshines and rainbows, but the Nine of Pentacles is really a card that talks about like whatever you have invested in and sacrificed for, it pays off. It is the Venus and Virgo card, and so it can be talking about, again, like really maybe guarding your heart, guarding your boundaries, maybe having those higher expectations. I think that's really something that Saturn can really speak to with this full moon, is that has a lot to do with Venus and Virgo and the Nine of Pentacles, is that sometimes you Venus doesn't do well in Virgo, and so it can be a lot about, sometimes having those higher expectations. Yes, you might feel alone, but eventually you get to this point where, because you've held your own and you expect greatness from not just you and but of also other people, you find the tribe, or you find the person that understands you best. You will meet that tribe of people, or that family of people that are able to really accept, heal, and love you unconditionally. Virgo is still very much about unconditional love, even though it is the opposite of Pisces, which I think is usually recognized as being unconditional love. Virgo is also very much leaning into wanting that. I think in a weird way, it's what it's searching for. because of looking, and that's maybe why it is where we see Virgo, Venus and Virgo in particular, really looking at those like small details of things. Like it's like this isn't conditional, or really asking itself back and forth, like, yes, you said this, but is that conditional or is it unconditional? And really digging into that debate of things. And so as long as it's not getting, too much into that perfectionist side, I think Venus and Virgo can be extremely open. It can loving. It can be a place of the greatest love for yourself and other people. If it is not doing, like we were talking about in the Four of Pentacles, where we saw like possibly us like just cutting ourselves off from all resources. If we're letting things flow, things can do really well. And I think that's why the Nine of Pentacles is coming up, is saying as long as you keep yourself open enough to what can be received, you kind of reap what you sow, or you will eventually have that return on that investment. What you put in and what you serviced comes back to you. And then lastly, we have the King of Pentacles, which is a card that's really talking about financial stability. It's talking about, you doing the work and then finally getting those resources going. It's something that you no longer have to really grind as hard. Not to say that you don't have to continue to work hard, but it's something that you've done the foundational work for it. It can be a person. This can be an earth sign that comes in. But I think the King of Pentacles coming up in this actual reading is really talking more so about manifestation of the work that you put in on yourself, not just about financial independence, but it's about just like you being self-sufficient is really what it's coming down to. And that work that you're putting in internally is something that lasts you generations, even past the time that you're not here anymore. It's something that kind of transcends just you. It also spreads to other people. It's plentiful and abundant. And so that is the collective reading for the full moon in Aquarius. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can do so by clicking the link below. And don't forget, we have my beginner's astrology course coming up on August 20th. That'll be up on the website soon. So if it's not there already, just keep looking out for it. It'll be Star Muse, the Star Muse Beginner's Astrology course. And that'll be coming up soon on August 20th. We'll be doing that August 20th through September 10th. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. But other than that, guys, I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.